Fantasy Football Power Hour, proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub on 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. They are available to you 7 days a week, including on game days and game nights. Find your way over to the Wildcat Sports Pub on 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. And, of course, for takeout and delivery, you can call the Wildcat at 315-487-2222. That's 315-487-2222. So with that being said, happy to be here with you on Wake Up Call in the Fantasy Football Power Hour. Of course, we are speaking this week on week 4 of the NFL in the 2024-25 season. And we, of course, are going to go through the schedule as we always do from Thursday night all the way to Monday night. So we'll be going in order. I'll be circling, and when I say in order, Thursday, then Sunday 1 o'clock, Sunday mid-afternoon, and then we'll get into Monday Night Football. And, of course, if you want to know what game we're on, if you're watching this live or if you're watching it on playback, you'll be able to know exactly where we're at, because I will circle that game while we're talking about it. So you'll know exactly where we are as far as did we pass a game that you were trying to get some advice on, so you can either go back and rewind or you can go forward if you're looking for a game that is after what we talked about here. So make sure you're connecting with us on our social media and everything that we do. We're on Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, as well as on X at Call DT, and on Instagram at wakeupcall_DT. So make sure you're connecting with the broadcast every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And, of course, our fantasy football coverage is coming to you every single Wednesday between 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And that should have an asterisk next to it because I always go past 11 a.m. We've been going toward 1 in the afternoon. So make sure that you're definitely with us. Happy to answer your questions. And I do want to let you know this ahead of time. If you have a question in the world of fantasy football, send it over to us. I am more than happy to answer your questions, as you all know that have sent those in. So if you have a question wherever you are in the country and the world, send it to us on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt to the actual video that you're watching right now. You can also send it to us on the Facebook live feed, which is facebook.com/wakeupcalldt. And you can send it to us on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com to that live feed as well. So looking forward to the opportunity to have you there with us on all of our live channels and to send in your questions when you have those questions about your specific fantasy team. We talk about waiver wire as well as free agency, different trades that have been proposed to you, and, of course, setting your lineup. So if you have a question, make sure you send it over. I am more than happy to help you and guide you forward here to the best of my ability. So if you got a question, make sure you shoot it over to us. We already have questions coming in, so we're going to get to them. And just to let you know, if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, make sure you subscribe while you're there. And you can feel free to do that at any time. So make sure to subscribe and tell your family, friends, coworkers, and colleagues. And you can also find us on Facebook. You will find us at Wake Up Call DT. X is at Call DT, just to give you an opportunity to really reach us, whatever's easier for you. And on Instagram at wakeupcall_DT. So we're going to get right into it here. We did have a question that came up from Tyler. Tyler said, thoughts on dropping, I'm guessing that's Samaje, Pirine, and Hunt for Sam Darnold and Bucky Irving. Yeah, man. I mean, listen, if you can get Sam Darnold, go get. I did it last week, and thank goodness I made the move that I made. Now, I'm a Jaguar fan in the comfort of my own home, but I made a move last week on game day to go and get Sam Darnold and to put Trevor Lawrence on my bench and start Sam Darnold in the place of Trevor Lawrence. And thank goodness that I went and did something like that. So the question that just came in, and Tyler, thank you for watching and listening. Make sure you subscribe. So Pirine and Hunt for Darnold and Bucky Irving. Yeah, I mean, I think the jury's still out on Bucky, but I do like you getting Sam Darnold. So I would say do that. And thank you for the question, Tyler. And like I said, make sure to subscribe while you're here hanging out with us on our channel. And of course, that coming from our YouTube channel. So much appreciation for everybody showing some love here. Questions as they come in, I will answer them as we go. We're going to go right into it here with Thursday Night Football. Thursday Night Football, an exciting game that I'm looking forward to. Cowboys at Giants. Typically exciting because it's a rivalry game. The unfortunate part of this specific season is that the Cowboys have been atrocious. Now, the Giants are coming off of a victory against Cleveland at Cleveland, and Cleveland just not playing great football. They're not scoring the ball. They're not getting the job done. And again, this, you look at this, and Deshaun Watson, when he was at Houston, he's a good quarterback. He was a good quarterback in college at Cleveland, or pardon me, at Clemson. But ultimately, do I think that, he was a guy to, and I'm not going to say don't go get your money. I'm not saying that at all. I wouldn't have made the investment of guaranteed money to Deshaun Watson over, I wouldn't I need to see more from Deshaun Watson than to just there was a lot of things going on. First and foremost, I'm not going to bring in a quarterback and give them a fully guaranteed contract when they're dealing with off the field issues, and there's a ton of them. It depends on what's going on and what it is, but they attached their horse to somebody hoping that it was all going to work out, and they didn't have him for such a long time. So to me, that was concerning. Who would I pick up then, Bucky or Rico Dowdle? So Bucky or Rico Dowdle? That's a good question. So if I look by the numbers right now, and I want to pull up the statistics for the NFL currently right now, and I want to take a look at who's got what to kind of help you out here. And Tyler, thank you for the second question. Then we're going to get into Dallas. So, you got to go down the line because these guys haven't. Bucky, let's see here. Bucky's had 25 attempts. He has 154 yards. He's yet to score a rushing touchdown. He's got 5 catches on 6 targets for 28 yards. So he doesn't have a touchdown this season. And then you said Rico Dowdle. Well, Dallas's offense is just bad currently. They're not moving the ball. They did come back against Baltimore. That game looked out of hand early on. But, I don't know why they brought back Zeke. I'm not a fan of the move. The jury's still out, in my opinion, about what that can maybe turn into, and maybe they saw something that I haven't seen yet, but ultimately I don't like the move. I would say Bucky, man. I'm not gonna have you rely on Dallas's offense, let alone a backup running back. So I'm gonna say Bucky between the two of them. I like Bucky. Thanks for the question, Tyler, though. I appreciate that. So getting into this Cowboys game, speaking of the Cowboys, let's jump right into this matchup that the Cowboys have going on here at the Giants. Now, the New York Football Giants are not in a horrible place, right? So, they're coming off a victory, which is good, but they had a lot of work. They're 1-2 right now. Their offense doesn't look great. The Cowboys are also 1-2. We always go with the road team first. So I'm going to head to the Cowboys depth chart here and let you know fantasy-wise who I would put out there to play. Going back to the Cowboys' most recent game, their loss at home, 28-25 to the Baltimore Ravens. Like I said, this game looked way out of hand early on, and the Cowboys fought back in the matchup. And credit to them for that. They scored 19 points in the fourth quarter. Dak Prescott, 28 of 51. You don't like seeing quarterbacks have to throw 40 or 50 times in a game. Definitely not consistently have to do something like that. To me, it speaks to either decisions being made by the offensive coordinator or the unbalanced attack being something that they're not relying on the run. And they only ran 16 times to 51 passes at home against the Ravens in a 3-point loss. Rico Dowdle, 8 carries, 32 yards, 4 yards a carry. Dak had a touchdown on the ground, 2 carries, 7 yards. Zeke, 3 carries for 6 yards. I mean, again, I don't know why they brought back Zeke. It didn't wow me. I've been taught in relationships that when you move on, you move on. Now, in sports, if you have a good relationship with a guy and you can take him back and maybe you made a mistake, then sometimes it works out. But it's, this move to get rid of Zeke and make Tony Pollard the guy and then let Tony go to Tennessee and then bring Zeke back, to me, it just shows organizational issues with the Dallas Cowboys. Like, you agreed that Zeke wasn't getting it done, and now you take him back with more tread on the tires. That just doesn't make sense to me. So, I mean, Dak Prescott, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions through the air. Cavante Turpin and Jalen Tolbert had the 2 touchdowns, probably guys that you don't have on your fantasy roster. And the Cowboys scored 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. Those 2 touchdown passes and the Dak Prescott run all came when the team was down 28-6. So, I mean, fantasy-wise, they're playing the Giants. The Giants aren't great, and the Cowboys are playing on the road, which is a good thing because they stink at home. They're awful. I mean, think about it. They got blown out last season to end the season at home, and I talked about it last week, so I'm not going to belabor the point. But they got blown out. Then they started the season on the road and won over the Browns. Then they got blown out at home in their first game at home since the playoff loss to the Packers. Got blown out by the Saints. And then they lost to the Ravens at home. So it might behoove them to be on the road more. And so they're going to be at the Giants and at the Steelers for the next couple games. Dak Prescott, I got him as a low-end 1 quarterback. I know he throws a lot. I know he had over 370 yards. He didn't throw an interception. So if you are in a league where you get penalized for that, he didn't do that in this last game against Baltimore's defense. But I got him as a low-end 1, high-end 2 quarterback. I don't have either of the running backs. CeeDee Lamb I would put out there. I don't lean on any of the receivers. And Jake Ferguson, I got him as a mid-range to low-range tight end 1. On the other side of it, for this matchup for the New York Football Giants, the Giants look better than the Cowboys did this past week, but the Giants are still ugly on offense. And ultimately, I mean, do I think that this Giants team is a team that you can lean on in fantasy to help secure you a victory? No. I think if you have a bunch of Giants on your team, you're going to have to make some moves in free agency and the waiver wire and whatnot. I saw your questions that came in, so I will get to your questions momentarily. Thank you for your questions. Z Smitty, I saw yours. And then Tyler, I got your other one here as well. So Daniel Jones, no. I mean, as far as the running backs go, going up against the Cowboys, the New York Giants on the road last week in a win over the Browns, 21-16 or 15, pardon me. In that game, their running backs broke down in this respect: 16 carries, Singletary, 65 yards, 4.1 yards a carry and a touchdown. The young gun Tyrone Tracy Jr., 5 carries, 23 yards. 4.6 yards a carry. I mean, nothing great. Malik Neighbors has been doing well. I mean, they're playing Dallas, so I would say you could put Malik Neighbors out there as a wide receiver 2. And then if you're going to put out a running back, Singletary, I would say as a running back 3, Tyrone Tracy as a low-end 3, high-end 4 is how I would look at this. But I do think the Giants are in better footing, in my opinion, than me going and picking a Dallas Cowboy. We're going to get to your questions here before we jump into Saints at Falcons. So let me get over to your questions because a bunch of your questions came in. If you have not subscribed, make sure that you do. Tyler said, sorry, Cordell Patterson, if both Sellers running backs are out. I'm not a big Cordero Patterson fan when it comes to consistency. So if you can get Bucky, man, get Bucky. Z Smitty, I'm going to get to your questions here in a second because I know you got a bunch of questions that came through and I appreciate them. Want to thank everybody that's tuning in on Facebook.com/WakeUpCallDT, YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. So however you're connecting with the show, thank you so much for being a part of the broadcast. And we're going to get into our Sunday games here momentarily, as I'm going to make sure that we answer these questions from Z Smitty. Smitty, I think you've been on the feed before. If you haven't, make sure to subscribe while you're here. But I think you're a returner, and if you are, I want to thank you for that. So let's get into your questions here. Would I trade Reed, Aaron Jones, Brian Thomas, Jonathan Brooks for Marvin Harrison, Nick Chubb, Jordan Love, and Kareem Hunt? No. No. No, because you're getting Chubb and Hunt, and Chubb is out, and Hunt is suspect. So, Z Smitty, no on the first trade. So I'm going to send that over to you as well. Hopefully you're on here with us listening. So I would say no on the first trade, because I don't like that. And like I said, Cleveland's struggling to get anything done on offense. He said his team is Baker, Gibbs, Amon-Ra. Okay, got that team there. The idea of Gibbs, Cook, Amon-Ra, Rice, and Marvin Harrison. Yeah, the Marvin Harrison part of it is enticing, but I don't like the rest of it. If he doesn't accept with the team I have, would you do just Reed and Jones for Marvin Harrison Jr.? That's a good question. I mean, honestly, let's see here. So your running backs are Gibbs, Jones, Brooks, Dobbins. Gibbs, Jones, Brooks, Dobbins. Okay. And Charbonnet. I don't like the thought of you getting rid of Aaron Jones. I mean, I'm okay. I'm guessing it's Jaden Reed from the Packers. So, I mean, Smitty, I know you want Marvin Harrison Jr., but you got to be smart about the move. So, I would say try to keep Aaron Jones. I like Marvin Harrison Jr., but I wouldn't trade Jones. Looking at your running backs, I feel like you need him there with your team. So I would say keep him. Next one we're going to go to are the New Orleans Saints at the Atlanta Falcons. And let's jump into this matchup that we have here. New Orleans Saints at Atlanta. New Orleans scored 91 points in their first two games of the season combined. And then last week, they at home scored 12 in an awful game against the Philadelphia Eagles. And the New Orleans Saints defense just didn't hold up at the end. And credit to the Eagles offense and good play calling and good drives and good movement down the field to get the victory. And that is the first loss for the New Orleans Saints this season, who are now 2-1. The New Orleans Saints being on the road here against the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons have done some good things, and I think that there's something to be had about these Atlanta Falcons here. I know that, people are frustrated maybe with the Kansas City game, but let's keep in mind the fact that the Atlanta Falcons did not have themselves. My buddy's an Atlanta Falcons fan, and he, texted me during the game and said they're so tough to watch, but they lost to the Chiefs 22-17. There's teams that played worse games against the Chiefs. There's teams that played worse games in general. There was, 5 games that happened in week 3 that made it a very confusing week. I saw a bunch of your questions that came in, so I will get to those questions. So hang tight with me on those. Thank you for the questions, and make sure to subscribe while you're waiting on the responses here. As far as the Saints at the Falcons, I mean, Derek Carr, I got him as a low-end 1, high-end 2 at quarterback. I got Kirk Cousins a little bit above him, and Kirk being at home. I like Alvin Kamara in this matchup. Outside of that, for the New Orleans Saints, I think what it comes down to for me is, we saw how well they scored the ball, but against an Eagles team whose defense hasn't really been great in recent history. I mean, they showed up in a big way. So now my thing that I'm kind of paying attention to is how good are the Eagles defenders. Was that a good game? Is there going to be consistency? What happened with New Orleans in this game? But I like Kamara in the matchup. I like Chris Olave. And, I mean, Rashid Shaheed, he had 5 targets, didn't catch any in the last game. And he was a huge part of their offense being so huge. So, I mean, I think Shaheed, for me, you could put him out there in a deep league as a wide receiver 2. I would like for you to be able to put him out there as a wide receiver 3. I like Olave to put out there, and I like Alvin Kamara as a running back 1, in my opinion. Outside of that, there's nobody else that I would tell you to play on the Saints side of things. As far as the Atlanta Falcons go, Kirk Cousins, I mean, taking a look at Kirky by the numbers here this season so far, if we take a look at Kirk Cousins and where he stacks up statistically, Kirk has, over these first 3 games as an Atlanta Falcon, he 56 completions, 84 attempts, 66.7% completion percentage, 626 passing yards in the first 3 games, 4 touchdowns to 3 interceptions. Not great. So I have him in this game, like I said, a little bit above Derek Carr, especially with him playing at home, but I got him as a quarterback 2 that I would have for you. He had 1 touchdown, 1 interception in the last game, 20 of 29. I mean, I mean, obviously the completion percentage is good, but not great on the getting to the end zone numbers. So I would say Bijan is worth the play. Tyler Algier, this is a guy who is really suspect. I mean, he's a guy that's good to put out in flex, but he's not consistent. So I would say running back 4 on him. Drake London, I like, and Kyle Pitts, but, you know, the ball's got to get to these guys. And my frustration, I mean, Drake London's obviously getting the ball, but Kyle Pitts, I mean, 5 targets, 2 catches, 59 yards. I mean, 59 yards, good for a tight end, right? But, I mean, I'd like to see more coming from Kyle Pitts. So I have him as he's still a tight end 1. I just want to see more. So I guess I'll call him I don't want to call him a mid-range 1, but I feel like that's where I'm at. And Noah, I'm going to get to your questions here in a second, so thank you for those. But that's my look at the matchup between the Saints and the Falcons. I think there's more fantasy value on the Saints side, but I do like Bijan and Drake London on the other side. We're going to take a step aside, come back with the answers to your questions, as well as talk Bengals at Panthers. The Andy Dalton Bowl, he started with the Bengals. Now he's the starting quarterback of the Carolina Panthers after they benched their number 1 overall pick of 2023, Bryce Young. And after benching him, immediately the team won on the road at Vegas against a team that had just won on the road at Baltimore. So Andy Dalton having a nice little return to the fray. We'll be back after this with plenty more in fantasy football in the Fantasy Football Power Hour, proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you. Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
All right, you need to come out here and get yourself the Brooklyn Pickle. I was talking about this with one of my buddies. I was like, yo, there's no better sandwich in the state of New York than the Brooklyn Pickle. And now that I found out that they're going down to North Carolina, we are taking over your taste buds everywhere you are, wherever you're going to be. You need to get yourself out to the Brooklyn Pickle. Pinehurst, you just realized that you found yourself the best sandwich shop that you're ever going to have. This is a glorious moment. It's a blessing to your community. You're welcome. Brooklyn in the house, baby. Go over to the Brooklyn Pickle. You already know what it is.
You heard the man. Head to Brooklyn Pickle Pinehurst on 1788 Old Morgantown Road in Southern Pines, North Carolina. And a welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We appreciate you being here every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, and of course beyond that, as we will go beyond that today in our coverage of fantasy football. So it's time to get back into the action, and we got some questions that came in, so I do want to get to those questions here that we have. So I'm going to go to Z Smitty first here. I think he might accept Reed and Jones for Marvin Harrison Jr. and Nick Chubb. So, I mean, my problem with the move, man, is that Aaron Jones is a good running back, right? And we've seen him, stay well, thank God, and stay healthy. Chubb, we're looking at when he's going to be back, the thought of him being back for this week. And I mean, I'm looking at things right now. He's not going to be playing this week when they face the Raiders. And he started the season on the physically unable to perform list. He has to miss the first 4 weeks of the campaign. There hasn't been a lot of updates on his status. So he can play in week 5, but it doesn't mean that he will. That's my concern. So, yeah, I mean, Smitty, I can tell that you very much want Marvin Harrison Jr., and I hope the guy that's looking to trade, I hope the person that's looking to trade with you is not listening right now, because it could be like, oh man, I'm gonna be able to, to pull on them strings of wanting Marvin Harrison Jr. So I wouldn't let Jones go based on the running backs that you have. He said, and if he accepts, then I'm running with it, because I'll flip Chubb for something nice when he comes back. I could flip Chubb and Puka for basically anything I want in this league. All right, man. I mean, if you think you can flip it, then do it. But it sounds like you really want Marvin Harrison, and I really wanted Marvin Harrison on one of my fantasy teams, and I run 4 leagues. I run one for my alma mater, Marywood University in Scranton, PA, and I also run one down in Florida, the second home and hub of my company of Dan Tortora Broadcast Media. And of course, I also have the ones in Central and Upstate New York up here. So I finally got him in the last draft that I did, which was the Florida League. Noah said, would you do this trade? I give Olave, Jordan Mason, and Chuba Hubbard. I get Pacheco, Etienne, Lockett, and Goddard. He also said he would lend me Rashee Rice for CeeDee Lamb's bye week. Lend you? So you have to give him back? That's interesting. It sounds like this person's like, that's interesting. I'm going to say that's interesting. I picture like the witch giving you the apple, saying like, it's not a bad apple. It's totally fine. Just bite it. So Olave, Mason, and Hubbard, you get Pacheco, who's been injured, Etienne, who's on a struggling offense, Lockett, who has disappeared at times, and Dallas Goedert. I would say no. I mean, yeah, you're getting more players, Noah, but I wouldn't do it. Because Jordan Mason, I mean, he's the guy right now. Who knows what's going to go on with CMC? God willing, Christian McCaffrey will be okay. Olave's doing good work. I'm not a big fan of Chuba Hubbard because of the offense that he's in, but he's got a different quarterback now. So, yeah, I would probably hang with what you got, to be honest with you. And, unless there's a better deal that presents itself to you, I'm more than happy to help you in that deal scenario. But I mean, as of right now, I don't think you're going to be winning in that respect if you put yourself in that move. I don't think that's a good move for you. So if you got other questions, send them in. We're going to get to the next game. We're going to go to Bengals at the Panthers. So let's go Bengals Panthers in this matchup. Again, the Andy Dalton Bowl. Andy Dalton has had himself a nice little re-debut again into the league. Another opportunity for him. He's been all over the place, and God bless him for the fact that he was in Cincinnati. He's been in Dallas. He's been all over. In this matchup, I mean, Joe Burrow and the squad, they lost to the Washington Commanders on Monday Night Football this past week in Week 3. They're on a 3-game losing streak to start the season. They lost by 6 to the Patriots, which they said that the touchdown should have been. I mean, the officials said that the touchdown, or the NFL said that it should have been a touchdown for Mike Gesicki, so potentially that's a win for them that they're not going to get. They lost at the Chiefs 26-25 in a game where pass interference was called on a 4th down play where the ball hit the ground and the game would have been over. And they lost to the Commanders 38-33. So they've had a weird start to their season with 2 officiating calls being a huge part of those games and then losing to the Commanders on Monday Night Football. So now they're at the Panthers, and Andy Dalton's got something to show his old team. I don't know if I want to be going up against Andy Dalton right now in this specific matchup. But looking at Burrow, 29-38, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Chase Brown finally got some good stuff here. 7 carries, 62 yards, 8.9 yards a carry. I haven't given up on Chase Brown. He's still on my roster. I know a lot of people wanted to give up on him because Zach Moss had done well to start off the season, but Zach Moss was also a guy that disappeared in Buffalo, so I'm concerned about Zach Moss's consistency, and Chase Brown is the young gun. He's only been in the league for a hot minute, so to me, I think he's worth, holding on to. Is he your number 1 guy right now? No, but is he a guy who could do some good things for you? I think so. So, I'm not one to get rid of him, so I think he did okay. Jamar Chase is Jamar Chase doing his thing, and then Andre Yosivas had a touchdown, 5 catches, 7 targets, 52 yards, one of those being for a touchdown. So definitely like what I'm seeing from him early on here. And I know some people asked me about him last week, and I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't know enough about him to give you a thought either way. And I know he got into the end zone here again. So finishes in the end zone. And looking at his numbers for Andre, he has had... he was drafted last year, 2023, round 6, pick 206 by Cincinnati. So he's on the team that he was drafted to. And he had 2 touchdowns against Kansas City. He had 1 against the Skins. So he's got 3 touchdowns in the first 3 weeks. The only game he didn't score in was against the New England Patriots. But, so I mean, he's obviously had a good start here to what's going on. T. Higgins has been kind of quiet. So, I mean, for Cincinnati going in this game against Carolina, I would say Chase Brown I'll call Chase Brown an RB3. I'll still call Zach Moss an RB2, maybe a lower end RB2. I got him a little bit above Chase Brown, but I still have Chase Brown as worth putting out there if you're going to put out 3 or 4 running backs. I like Joe Burrow in the game because he's been able to put numbers up despite losing. I like Jamar Chase. Yosivas, I think that he's somebody that you can put out there as a flex guy. I think a wide receiver 3 or a 4, especially with them playing Carolina. And Mike Gesicki, I don't think is a bad pickup. So, I mean, PPR, he had 4 catches in the loss. So I'll put him as a mid-range tight end 1 this week. For Carolina, I don't see you relying on Andy Dalton, but he is playing his old team, and I do pay attention to this stuff. So, because there are things that happen, there are storylines that when guys play up against teams that they used to be on, sometimes some really interesting things happen, and sometimes it's quiet, sometimes it's really loud. So I got a feeling Andy Dalton's going to be on the loud side. as far as his game that he started in against the Raiders that they won, 26 of 37, 319 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Chuba had over 100 yards on the ground. Another reason to the gentleman that sent me the question, Noah, that you hold on to him right now because he's got a different quarterback. Deontay Johnson, because he's got a different quarterback, 8 catches, 14 targets, touchdown, 122 yards. Chuba Hubbard, 114 yards on the ground, 5.4 yards a carry, 21 carries against the Raiders in the victory. 5 targets, 5 catches, 55 yards, and a receiving touchdown. Xavier Legette got involved. Adam Thielen caught a touchdown. God willing, he'll be okay. He's been placed on injured reserve, so God bless to him. But in the matchup, I like Chuba. They're playing Cincinnati. I'm going to put Chuba as an RB2, especially in a deep league. I'm going to put Deontay Johnson as a guy that you should look at putting out there. I'm going to have him as a low-end 2, high-end 3. Xavier Legette, I'm going to put as a flex, and that's probably what I would say. But there's some fantasy value here in Carolina for sure. If you have a question, make sure you send it over to us. I'm going to get to more of your questions here in just a second. So if you have sent one over, hang tight and know that you are going to have those questions answered in just a second. I do want to get to LA and the Bears. So let's go to the Los Angeles Rams, who are coming off of a comeback victory at home against San Francisco without Puka Nacua and without Cooper Kupp. So pretty awesome to see what this team has been able to do and what Matty Stafford's been able to do. So give credit where credit's due, man. Cooper is going to be out for this game as well. His expected return is week 5, so God willing, he'll be able to come back in week 5. As far as looking at the Rams and where they're currently at, the Los Angeles Rams this season, most recently in their only win of the season, which was at home against the Niners in division in the NFC West after being blown out by the Cardinals. Matty Stafford, 16 of 25, 221 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Kyren Williams doing some good things on the ground for the team, put some good work in. He had 2 touchdowns, 24 carries, 89 yards, 3.7 yards a carry. Tutu Atwell, who I covered when he was at Louisville in college, 4 catches, 5 targets, 93 yards. So a guy that might finally step up in a way where he could maybe become a household name. Jordan Whittington, shout out to my guy Mark West. He wanted him late in the draft. 3 catches on 3 targets, 28 yards for the rookie there. So something to maybe circle and pay attention to with who's going to step up. You know, will it be a Colby Parkinson at tight end? And Kyren Williams caught both catches thrown his way and had a touchdown. Kyren Williams had he had all 3 touchdowns for the Rams in the game. So the Niners and how good that defense is, they could not stop one dude, and that dude being Kyren Williams. So I'm going to tell you in this matchup to play Kyren Williams. I'm also going to say if you got to go deep into maybe 4 wide receiver situations, then you could look at playing Tutu Atwell or Jordan Whittington. I hope that you don't have to rely on one of these guys to be like your top one here, but that's something to look at. We got more questions that came in, so Noah, I'll get to that in a second. But yeah, I mean, I like Kyren Williams, Tutu Atwell as maybe a wide receiver 3 or 4, Jordan Whittington as a wide receiver 4, and then beyond that, for the other side of this matchup for the Bears, talked about the Bears in hour number 1 with Lemoyne men's and women's tennis head coach in our Dolphin Dive, that being Jeff Lonzak, who's a big-time Bears fan. I'm not going to tell you to put Caleb Williams out there in the game. I still have to watch him. He does have talent, but like I said, I'm looking for the leadership. I'm looking for the character. I'm looking for a response when the team is down. He has the talent. I mean, dude got out of like 4 or 5. He eluded in the game against the Texans like 4 or 5 tackles on one play. He threw 52 times against the Colts. 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 33 for 52, 363 yards. Nothing to frown about. 1 carry for 8 yards. Rashawn Johnson, quiet. 8 carries, 30 yards, 3.8 yards a carry. DeAndre Swift, 13 carries for 20 yards, 1.5 yards a carry is gross. And then Rome Odunze, who I told you, I had him. That was my original thing, is that Caleb was going to Chicago with pick 1 and with pick 9, Rome Odunze. 6 catches, 11 targets, 112 yards, a touchdown. Cole Kmet, I didn't count him out. He was targeted 11 times, the same amount as Rome. Caught 10 of 11, 97 yards, and a touchdown. DJ Moore, 10 targets, 8 catches, 78 yards. So Caleb Williams has proven that he can get not only one guy involved, but plenty of guys involved. He did fumble the ball away. So, I mean, in this matchup, going up against Los Angeles, I like the receiver world here. I like Roma Dunze in a deep league as a wide receiver 2. And yeah, I mean, I'd probably say wide receiver 2, maybe on the lower end. I like DJ Moore as a wide receiver 2. And Cole Kmet in this game, I'm going to put him as a mid-range tight end 1. Let's get to your questions here. Noah said, the only reason why I'm considering it is because I have Puka on my IR, and Mason will soon be running back 2, and Etienne will start running back 1. Oh, we'll stay running back 1 over time. Yeah, it's just the offense, man, that I'm concerned about. So you would give away Olave, Mason, and Hubbard, and Hubbard's playing better. So that's another thing to pay attention to. Like, I like Dallas Goedert, but keep in mind, the running back gets the ball a lot easier than a receiver or a tight end. Pacheco has been injured. Lockett is kind of disappearing. So you're really making that trade for Etienne and Goddard, but you're giving up Olave, who gets good points. Mason, you don't know. You said he's going to be the 2, but you don't know how they're going to utilize him. You also don't know what's going to happen with CMC. I'm hoping that he's okay, but what if you have Jordan Mason, you got a home run hitter, and then you let him go? So that's just my concern for you, Noah. And Chuba Hubbard, again, he's got a different quarterback now. So I do like that. I got 2 Smitties on here, Z Smitty and The Smitty. So shout out. If you guys haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe while you're there. Z Smitty said, people called me crazy for trading Mark Andrews for Dobbins after week 1 when I had Ferguson and Likely. Who is laughing now? Smitty. And he said that in all caps. So Smitty feeling it. Somebody apparently said something to you, Smitty. But yeah, I mean, Dobbins is good stuff, man. Dobbins is doing some good things. So, and Isaiah Likely, in my opinion, going into the season, I said Baltimore had the best 1-2 when it came to tight ends in the entire country. So Dobbins I like, and Likely is obviously very capable. And in my opinion, I think the team needs to use them both, not just Likely in the event that Andrews isn't there. Noah said, I would get Rice for the week where Lamb is inactive for free. I don't really understand that thing, Noah. Like, he's going to lend you. Like, this guy's just going to, this man or woman in your league is just going to do a good deed for the sake of helping you out. I mean, hey, if they're a good person and they're willing to do that, I mean, I've never heard about, like, you know, kind of just sending someone over with the intent that you're going to give them back. But I mean, I still don't like the trade fully. The Smitty said, start 2 running backs, Mason, Steele, Madison, Ramondre, and Cordero Patterson. So, good question, the Smitty. And I'm gonna take a look at a couple things for you here in order to give you a proper response. So, you know, Cordero's with Pittsburgh now. And I mean, I'm just not sold on Cordero Patterson. I haven't been most of the time. Like in Minnesota, I wanted to see what he could do, but I'm not really sold on him. Start 2, Mason, Steele, Madison, Ramondre. Well, Ramondre is playing we finished up with the Bears, so let me take that down. Ramondre is going up against San Fran in San Fran. I don't love that. But San Fran's defense has also been kind of suspect lately. Carson Steele. Kansas City is playing the Chargers. They're not necessarily known for their defense. If I had to pick between amongst the 4 that you gave me, I'm not somebody who gets sold on Alexander Madison, so the Smitty, I would go Mason, and Steele of those four. And then you said start 2, London, I'm guessing Mike Evans, Tank Dell, Jennings, and Jackson Smith, and Jigba. Well, Jawan Jennings I just picked up recently, and he's playing San Fran. Or pardon me, he's playing the Patriots. So I got to pick 2 there. I would say, oh man, Mike Evans is, oh boy, they're playing Philadelphia. And Jackson Smith and Jigba is on Monday night, so that's a little bit of an insurance policy, but they're playing Detroit. That's a tough question, man. I mean, Smitty, I want to say London and Evans, but I see value in Jackson Smith and Jigba on Monday Night Football. But I mean, London and Evans, I feel the safest saying to you. Daniel Caps, what's up, man? For depth, should I get Mooney or Sutton PPR? Both free agents in my league. Okay, so you don't have to get any. Do you have to give anything up to get them, Daniel? Make sure you shoot me back a message like, would you have to drop someone, or do you have an open spot on your roster? Minnesota at Green Bay. Let's hop into this game. This game is a conference matchup. So Minnesota, as I said, I picked up Sam Darnold last week and put him in place of, because I think I have Tua and Trevor Lawrence in one league, and obviously Tua's out, or it was something like that. And then I don't trust Trevor right now at quarterback with the way that the team's been going. So Sam Darnold's been good stuff. He's got a knee injury though, and he kind of limped in this game, so he is questionable to go in. If not him, Nick Mullins, Brett Ripien could be out there. So, I mean, I like Aaron Jones in the matchup even more. If Sam Darnold's able to go, then obviously Justin Jefferson, no concern about his hand injury. So I would say, I mean, watch Jordan Addison. He's currently, he was inactive last week for an ankle injury. Let's see where he's at. Tristan Jackson is in that short wide receiver. And I don't want to say short wide receiver, so small wide receiver room as far as depth. They have 6 guys. Other teams have more. So, I mean, Tristan Jackson played a year at Syracuse after coming from Michigan State. Played a year in a game, I should say, because he played in the Camping World Bowl in his debut. Had a nice debut for the Syracuse Orange. So, he's a guy to maybe grab and stash right now with some things going on. But I like, if Sam Darnold's able to go, then Sam Darnold in this matchup at Green Bay. Green Bay has been something, man. They have been a very strange team to cover. Just kind of taking a look at what they've done and how they've been able, I mean, with Malik Willis to do some good things here. Now, Jordan Love's questionable with his knee MCL. Malik Willis has been doing a pretty good job, so I think if they can keep Jordan Love out, even if they activate him, I think it bodes well for them to do something like that. They're 2-1, so they lost the game on the Malik Willis got sacked at the end of the game with the team down and him needing to throw a Hail Mary. It didn't happen. Then he comes back, beats the Colts 16-10 at home, and then goes and beats the Titans on the road, who I don't believe in this year. 30, at least up to this point, 30-14. So Malik Willis, I mean, he's probably going to keep rocking and rolling with this thing. And in the 30-14, and I see your questions, so I will get to those in a second. Thank you for shooting them into the broadcast here in the Fantasy Football Power Hour, probably presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Malik Willis in the last game, the 16-point win over Tennessee. 1 touchdown, no picks, 13 of 19 passing, so he's not asked to do a ton there. 202 yards, 6 carries, 73 yards, 12.2 yards a carry, a touchdown. Emmanuel Wilson, 50 rushing yards. Josh Jacobs, 43 rushing yards. Jaden Reed, 19 rushing yards. Christian Watson, 67 yards receiving. Jaden Reed, 50 yards receiving. Emmanuel Wilson out of the backfield, who I told some people, like, maybe don't necessarily get rid of that guy yet. He's got a touchdown because it's not going to be all Josh Jacobs. So I think on Minnesota's side, Justin Jefferson, especially if Darnold's able to go, I would consider putting Darnold out there depending on who you have. I'll put him as a mid-range one and maybe mid to low range if he's hampered by injury. but I like Aaron Jones in the game. And keep in mind, Aaron Jones is playing his old team again, like the Andy Dalton Bowl. This is the Aaron Jones Bowl, and guys like to, in games like this, show out, right? Show that girl that broke up with you that you're doing all right for yourself, type of thing. So Josh Jacobs is worth the play in this game. Emmanuel Wilson, not a bad flex for you in the matchup. Jaden Reed, I think, is worth the play. I'll put him as a wide receiver 2. Christian Watson, I'll put as a wide receiver 3. And that's what I'm looking at. I got a bunch of questions that came in, though. I want to get to these questions. So, Daniel Caps, you said you would drop DeMarcus Robinson. Okay. So, should you get Mooney or Sutton? Sutton's got less to deal with than Mooney does in Atlanta. So, I would say based on that, he's got a better chance of getting the ball, especially with Judy not being there. So, I would say Sutton to Daniel Caps. The Smitty said, I'm leaning toward Evans and Jennings if Kittle and Debo are out again. Yeah, so let me take a look at that really quick for you and see what the injury report looks like. I'm leaning toward Jennings as well. Keep in mind Brock Purdy, though, too. He is on the injury report. He's got a back injury, so God willing, he's okay. Debo is doubtful to play in the game. God willing, he'll be all right. Calf injury and hamstring. Not good for receivers / tight ends and running backs especially. Kittle has that. So, I mean, I picked up Juwan Jennings. Yeah, you're welcome, Daniel. Anytime, man. And thank you for subscribing. So, I would say I'm leaning toward Evans and Jennings if Kittle and Debo are out again. Yeah, I mean, so, Smitty... I mean, I like Mike Evans. Keep in mind, Tampa had a rough week. But I also like Drake London, and I don't necessarily believe in New Orleans' defense. So, I mean, I can see you going with Jennings because he was the guy that I was really thinking about telling you. So, Jennings I'm okay with. And Evans over London slightly. But that's a really tough call. I do appreciate the question. Daniel Cap said he would drop DeMarcus. Okay. Didn't see Willis coming in like that. Me either. Revenge game for Aaron Jones. Absolutely. And Andy Dalton. Smitty said, do you think Foreman will steal running back 1 from Jerome Ford? Not necessarily. I mean, that team's just looking to get anything going, Smitty, to be honest. Aiden, I did a horrible trade last night. Think you can help me alleviate the pain? Laughing my A off. Need some help with my roster. Okay. My old roster was Barkley, Kyron Williams, Jordan Mason, Jahmyr Gibbs, Ramondre. Okay, good. I had Ayuk, Smith, I'm guessing that's Devontae, and George Pickens at wide receiver. I just traded Ayuk, Mason, and Gibbs for Justin Jefferson, Najee Harris, and Singletary. Did I mess up? Aiden, this is why you got to come to the show before you make decisions. So, I'm not always going to be right, but, this is why we talk about it. We have open discussions here on the show, and I know people that watch, as I'm giving advice, y'all are helping each other too, and I appreciate that love. So make sure to subscribe, Aiden, while you're here. Yeah, man, let's try and I don't like what you did. I'm not a Devin Singletary or fan, right? As far as leaning on him and Najee Harris, man. I mean, Pittsburgh's winning, but it ain't always pretty. Justin Jefferson's good, but you got rid of Brandon Ayuk, Jordan Mason, and Jahmyr Gibbs. Yikes. So, yeah. He said, my core is Barkley, Kyron, and Jefferson, so I guess it's not terrible, but I feel like I did something bad. Well, tell me who's in free agency, and make sure to subscribe while you're here. But tell me who's in free agency. Maybe we could try and help you out a little bit. You don't have a bad team, though. Let's look at this. So you got Saquon Barkley, you got Kyron Williams, Ramondre Stevenson still. You have Devontae Smith, George Pickens. I don't love that. And you have Justin Jefferson, so he becomes your number 1 now. So, it's not terrible. But depending on what's out there, we can maybe try to help a brother out a little bit, which I'm always happy to do. So let's go to Jacksonville at Houston before we take a step aside here. This is going to be a divisional game for the Jaguars. There is no rest for the Jacksonville Jaguars playing on Sunday after playing on Monday Night Football to an absolutely just horrendous performance. Just a disgusting thing. And I mean, 47-10, they allowed scores by the backups toward the end of the game. So, I mean, again, I think there might be an environmental problem in Jacksonville. So, just something to think about. Jacksonville at Houston. Let's go to the Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence, 21 of 38, 178 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. ETN, 11 carries, 68 yards, 6.2 yards a carry. That was good. You know, I like ETN. Kirk, 8 catches. He's a good PPR guy. I tell people this all the time, and hopefully y'all start believing me. 10 targets, most on the team. 8 catches, most on the team. 79 yards, most on the team. He was a bright spot. He was catching a lot of passes late, too. Brian Thomas Jr., the rookie out of LSU, 9 targets, which was second most on the team. 5 catches, which was second most on the team. 48 yards, which was second most on the team. So that's something else to look at. Brenton Strange had a touchdown. Josiah DeGuara, a tight end on the team, he had a catch. Brenton Strange, a tight end, had a catch. Luke Farrell, a tight end, had a catch in the absence of Evan Engram. So Jacksonville at Houston, ETN is worth the play. Christian Kirk is worth the play. I'll put him as a wide receiver too because he's good PPR. Evan Engram's questionable with a hamstring. Once again, I don't like those injuries, especially for receivers and running backs. So God willing, he'll be okay. Big man of God, and I appreciate him very much for that. I think Brenton Strange, if Evan Engram is unable to go, I think Strange is, if you can play 2 tight ends, might not be a bad bet to sneak him in there because I still don't think people are necessarily keying in on him. On the other side, C.J. Stroud, yes. Cam Akers caught one in the end zone there. Joe Mixon's questionable with an ankle injury. Damian Pierce is questionable with, here we go, with hamstring. Again, hamstring hampering a lot of guys here. I don't like it. So I think Cam Akers is a good flex guy for you. Or running back too because they're playing Jacksonville. Nico Collins, I like. Tank Dell's on the injury report with a rib injury. He hasn't been great. So Stephon Diggs, I'm going to call him a running back 2 or wide receiver 2 in this game. And I call Nico a wide receiver 1. I'm going to call Dalton Schultz tight end 1 in this matchup as well. So we're going to take a step aside for a fast break. It is the Fantasy Football Power Hour, proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub, here where sports meets life, on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. We will be back momentarily for more advice and the next game that we're going to do, and I'm going to circle it now so that you have it, as we're going to go to Pittsburgh at Indianapolis. Steelers starting off strong, and the Colts not too shabby as well. We'll talk about it right after this on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. If you have a question about your team, now's the time to send it in.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating at 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and always online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, order anywhere, anytime at maandpaspopcorn.com. Stop in to get a tin at Ma and Pa's on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York to get your half-price refills for the rest of your life. Come to Ma and Pa's for your holiday gift giving for family, friends, employees, and clients. And remember, for fundraising and events, to call 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there, and of course you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100, and also find them on myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
And welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We are here on the Fantasy Football Power Hour for NFL Week 4 of the 2024-25 season, proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. So we appreciate you so very much for tuning in to the broadcast and implore you to send in your questions, and always happy to help you. Smitty said, thanks. You're welcome, sir. Aiden said, waiver wire has Wendell Robinson, Christian Watson, and Dontavian Wicks on wide receivers. Running backs, Tajay Spears, Justice Hill. I don't think any of those guys are. No. Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with what you have. Christian Watson's one to watch, but yeah, I don't think I'd go crazy. Not Wendell right now, not Tajay, not Justice, not Wicks. So really the only one I would look at is Christian Watson. I think you might want to stay pat, Aiden. I think you could kind of stick where you're at, man. You know what I mean? So, but make sure you come here on the broadcast and let's talk about these moves before we making them. So I'm just kidding. You didn't do bad, man. You got a team that's pretty good. So don't beat up on yourself too much. So we move forward and we make these moves, and sometimes the moves that we're concerned about end up being really good ones down the road. I mean, you never know. So next one we got up here, Pittsburgh, who is undefeated against an Indianapolis team who's done pretty well. If I said before the break that Indianapolis had won 2 out of their 3 games, that is my bad because they're 1-2. They just beat the Bears. So my apologies on that if I said that. I can't remember if I did, but I think I may have. So if I did, my fault. Pittsburgh at Indianapolis. Let's get into it. The Pittsburgh Steelers. Najee Harris is on the injury report. Arm injury. We have Jalen Warren with a knee injury, which is why y'all have been asking me about Cordero. George Pickens. I mean, Cordero could have himself a game. They're playing Indianapolis. Zaire Franklin, that's one of my dudes, man. He's from Syracuse. Came from the Syracuse Orange. Played for my hometown team. So I got a lot of love for what he did. 7th round draft pick, which was crazy. He should have been 3rd round. And ended up making the team, not surprised. Became a captain, not surprised. Extended his contract, not surprised. In the last 2 seasons has led the nation in tackles at a certain point during the season at least, and has been one of the top tacklers. Not surprised. So, Cordero's got to go up against that, which I'm not feeling great about, but I mean, the team's been moving the ball. So, I mean, Cordero, I'd say flex Cordero out. I'd say flex him out for sure. I know I got some questions here about people that asked me about Cordero. Let me see here. Who asked me about Cordero? Somebody did. I'll go back to your question. Where's Cordero on this thing? Rashi Rice, da-da-da-da-da. No. So, yeah. Here it is. Cordero Patterson. So if both running backs, if you can't get Bucky, should you get Cordero back to Tyler? Not a bad deal. Get him on retainer. I think Bucky might help over time, maybe a little bit more, but, we'll see. So I like Cordero as a flex guy. I wanted to go back to that because Cordero Patterson's not somebody that's really sold me more times than not to put out there. I mean, he's been with Minnesota. He's been all over the place. He's been in Atlanta, but in this specific thing, I wanted to go back to that question to correct myself because I do think Cordero has fantasy value as a flex person. So let me say that here and make sure that I right the ship on that. I wouldn't feel right saying no on Cordero if Bucky, you asked me if Bucky Irving was available in free agency, should you get him? And if not, could you get Cordero? I mean, I don't think he's a bad bet. I think Bucky over time may help you more, but Cordero's not a bad get. So I wanted to expand on that thought to make sure that I'm doing my due diligence with my job and educating myself as I go here because I don't know all the answers and it's nothing's wrong with going out there and getting more information. George Pickens, I don't dislike George Pickens and I don't dislike George Pickens in this matchup. The team is 3-0. They won 18-10 at the Falcons, 13-6 at the Broncos, and beat the Chargers 20-10 at home. In that most recent game, Najee Harris, who's on the injury report, 18 carries, 70 yards. Cordero, 4 carries. He wears number 84. 4 carries, 33 yards, 8.3 yards a carry. Fields had a rushing touchdown. He had a passing touchdown and an interception. Pickens, 7 targets, caught 5 for 57 yards. Calvin Austin III, I cover Memphis, obviously, for the last decade at least, and he played out there in college. 5 catches, or pardon me, 4 targets, 5 targets, 4 catches, 95 yards and a touchdown. Scotty Miller from Tampa Bay, who played with Tom Brady, he is on Pittsburgh now. 2 catches on 2 targets, 31 yards. The Muth, 5 targets, 4 catches for the tight end, 33 yards, not too shabby. So for Pittsburgh in this game against Indy, if Najee can't go and Jalen can't go, then Cordero flex him out. Pickens, I like him in this game as a wide receiver 2. Calvin Austin III as a wide receiver 3. The Muth, I like him as a mid-range tight end in this matchup. On the other side of it, for Anthony Richardson and the gang, go Gators, I would say, and that's for Papa Joe, for those of you that listen to Thursday's show, Johnny, Elijah, and the Smitty. I know you got some more questions for me here, so I'm going to get to those in a second. Just want to let you know that I see them. If you are on our channels and you have not subscribed, make sure you do that. So you can find us on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. So make sure that you head there and check out our channels and make sure to subscribe. I know you're on them right now watching and listening, so subscribe while you're there, and I appreciate it. You can also go to Facebook, that facebook.com/wakeupcalldt. You can also find it by going to @wakeupcalldt on Facebook. You can find us on X @calldt and Instagram @wakeupcall_DT. So make sure you check that out. Like I said, we got questions that came in. I'm going to get to those questions in just a moment. Do want to get to the fantasy football advice on the other side of the matchup between Pittsburgh and Indy. In the Colts game, that was the opportunity to see a matchup that we saw in a Super Bowl back in the 2006-7, or pardon me, is it 2006-7 season? Yeah, 2006-7 season. So seeing that Super Bowl, Rex Grossman on Chicago's side, Peyton Manning on the Colts side. This time it was Caleb Williams, #1 overall pick this year, and Anthony Richardson, who was a high draft pick last season. He had Richardson, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions in the game, 10 of 20, 167 yards. Jonathan Taylor came into play, though, man. He balled out. He played like Jonathan Taylor, like what we expect, right? 23 carries, 110 yards, 4.8 yards a carry, 2 touchdowns. Anthony Richardson carried the ball 8 times for 24 yards. Trey Sermon, 2 carries for 16 yards, but he did have a touchdown. Alec Pierce, 2 targets, 1 catch, 44 yards. Granson got involved, 1 target, 1 catch, but it was 40 yards. Michael Pittman, people have been wondering if they should fire sale him. 5 targets, 4 catches, 36 yards, no touchdowns. Jonathan Taylor caught 1 of the 2 thrown his way for 25 yards. Josh Downs, who was drafted last year out of Carolina, 5 targets, 3 catches, 22 yards. Mo Alley Cox did not catch any, but he was targeted once. Adonai Mitchell didn't catch any, was targeted once. And Ashton Doolin was targeted once, did not catch any passes. So, in this matchup with Pittsburgh, Anthony Richardson, I'm going to put him as a quarterback too. I like Jonathan Taylor. Michael Pittman, wide receiver 3, because he's inconsistent. And they're playing Pittsburgh, who's been able to gut out wins that have been low scoring. Josh Downs, wide receiver 4, is what I would say about this game. Let's get to your questions before I jump to the next one here. And the next game is going to be the Nate Hackett Bowl, which are the Denver Broncos at the New York Jets. Nate Hackett has been a longtime coach in college and pro football. His father, also a coach in history. Nate has only been a head coach in the NFL once, and he got fired during the season with the Denver Broncos. And I don't think that you could put it all on him. He is now the offensive coordinator for the 2nd year with the New York Jets. And keep in mind, he spent a lot of time with the one and only Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay, where Aaron had so much success. Johnny said, would I trade Chuba Hubbard for J.K. Dobbins? As much as I like Chuba this past week, Johnny, yes. Because Dobbins is good stuff right now. I mean, I've long since said this. If J.K. Dobbins stays healthy, and that was with Baltimore or with anybody, with L.A. now, he's worth putting out there. So, yeah, I would make that trade. That's a lopsided trade. So, I would do it. The Smitty. So, Mason and Patterson at both Steelers running backs are out. He was with Arthur Smith in Atlanta, and Arthur Smith used him. Yeah, he did. But keep in mind, they also had a bunch of guys there. So, yeah. If both Steelers running backs are out, I like Patterson. And Jordan Mason, yeah, I like him too. And Jordan Mason's going up against the Patriots. But, they do have a good defense. Elijah said, should I drop Deontay Johnson and Sutton and pick up Engram and Fields? No. Because Deontay Johnson just had a really good game against Andy Dalton, so you don't know where that's going to go. Cortland Sutton is the main target in the receiving core, I would say, and Bo Nix is going to come into his own. I said that he was going to arguably have the second best rookie quarterback season of the rookie quarterbacks. I said he was my sleeper to have a good season, Jaden Daniels to have the best one, and then Bo Nix behind him. So no, I don't. And Evan Ingram's injured, and Justin Fields. I mean, the team's winning, but it's not pretty. So Elijah, I wouldn't do that. And I appreciate the question. If y'all haven't subscribed, make sure you do. Elijah said, start Chiefs or Vikings defense and special teams this week. The Chiefs are playing the Chargers. The Vikings are playing Green Bay. Ooh, that's a tough question. That is a really tough question. Thank you, Johnny, and thank you for your subscription. Start the Chiefs or the Vikings defense? I'm going to say Chiefs this week, Elijah. Yeah, I'm going to say Chiefs. Between the two. Let's go to the Nate Hackett Bowl. Denver at the New York Football Giants. Or Jets, pardon me. New York Football Jets. In my head, I was like, New York Football Giants is what people say, and I'm going to switch it to the Jets, and then my brain just said it. So, to the Giants fans out there, I guess you can't call the Jets the New York Football Jets because I just tried to, and my own mouth would not listen to my brain. So, that's a win for you, Giants fans. And I know they've been hard to come by recently. Let's go into Denver at the New York Jets. So, Denver at the New York Jets. Let's take a look at this matchup. I like Bo Nix, man, and I told you all that. I like Bo. I got his autograph card. I actually think I got it right here with me. So, because we also sell cards and do box breaks and card breaks and all that. So, if anybody watching is interested in this beauty, it's numbered out of 100. It's 007, which I think is cool. Bo Nix, Oregon rookie auto from Inception. So, cool product. His stuff is not cheap, by the way. So, let's go to Denver. Bo Nix, I'd put him as a quarterback too this week. Outside of that, I should say, for the Broncos offensively, they just won 26-7 on the road at the Buccaneers, which was huge. I think that puts Bo on the national map, and I think it puts the team on the national map, but Bo did not throw a touchdown pass in the game. He had a rushing touchdown, 9 carries, 47 yards, 5.2 yards a carry and a touchdown. Tyler Beatty, 9 carries, 70 yards, 7.8 yards a carry, above Javonte Williams, 5 for 12. And Jaleel McLaughlin's 5 carries for 7 yards, but he did have a touchdown. Bo Nix, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Cortland Sutton, 11 targets, most on the team, 7 catches, most on the team. 68 yards, most on the team, but did not have a touchdown because nobody did receiving. Lil Jordan Humphrey, 8 targets, 6 catches, 37 yards. Javonte Williams caught all 4 thrown to him out of the backfield, so shout out to him for that. Troy Franklin, who played with Bo Nix in Oregon, 5 targets, 2 catches, 11 yards for the rookie, wearing number 16. Marvin Mims, who was a rookie last year, 1 target, 1 catch, 9 yards for number 19. So, who would I tell you to play in this? Tyler Beatty is now back to the practice squad, which makes no sense to me. He came into this game, had 9 carries for 70 yards, 7.8 yards a carry, well outdid Javonte Williams and Jaleel McLaughlin who combined for 19 yards. So he beat them both head-to-head by 51 yards. And now he's back to the practice squad. So who do I like in this game for Javonte and Jaleel? I mean, Nate worked with Javonte, so I would think he knows how to beat him. He worked with Cortland Sutton, too. So I would say Cortland Sutton as a wide receiver 3. I don't like anybody else against the Jets defense. I like the Jets defense in this game. I like Aaron Rodgers at a mid-range quarterback 1. I like Breece Hall. I like Braylon Allen probably as a flex. I like Garrett Wilson. Mike Williams isn't on the injury chart. Yay! So let's keep it that way, Mike. Dang. Alan Lazard. I mean, Aaron likes to throw to him. So I'm going to put Lazard as a wide receiver 3. I'm going to put Mike Williams as a wide receiver 3. I'm going to put Garrett Wilson as a wide receiver 1. And Tyler Conklin, like, I want to put him I want to talk to him talk about him fantasy wise. I just need to see more consistency. The Jets have scored 24 points in back-to-back weeks. And so they've scored 48 points cumulative in back-to-back weeks and only allowed 20, I think, to the 48 that they've scored. So Rodgers, 27-35, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Braylon Allen, 11 carries, 55 yards. Breece Hall, 16 carries, 54 yards. 5 yards a carry for Braylon. 3.4 for Breece. A touchdown for Breece. Conklin, 6 targets, 5 catches. That's why I want to talk about him. 93 yards to lead the team. Lazard, 3 catches on 3 targets, 48 yards and a touchdown. Garrett Wilson had a touchdown. 9 targets, most on the team. 5 catches, tied for most on the team with Conklin, but only 33 yards. But he did have a touchdown. Breece caught 4 out of 5 throwing his way out of the backfield for 29 yards. Braylon Allen caught all 3 throwing his way out of the backfield. So I like Aaron Rodgers being Aaron Rodgers. I like Tyler Conklin in this game. I do. I like him at tight end in this game. Do I think he's one of the top tight ends in the country? Not yet. But I do like him in this game. So I'm going to say that. Elijah's got some more questions that came in for us. So before we go to Philadelphia and Tampa, a rematch of the playoffs. And keep in mind, Philadelphia, when Tampa Bay beat Philly in the playoffs last year, and Philly was the better seed, and Tampa had to go. Philly wasn't the better seed because Tampa played at home. But Tampa won in the playoffs over Philadelphia last year when there was a lot of high hopes for Philly. And keep in mind what happened with Tampa this year already. They went and played Detroit in Detroit, and the last time they were there was in the playoffs last season, and they avenged that loss this season. And now they're playing Philly, so now Philly would be the ones avenging the loss. Elijah said, just subscribed. Great content, brother. Thanks. You're welcome, man. Appreciate you. And Elijah, I really appreciate it. Olave or Adunze this week as flex. Ayuk and DK are my wide receiver 1 and 2. Okay. So, Olave or Adunze? Good question. I like Rome Odunze. Like I said, I thought Chicago should pick him up, should draft him, and they did. But I also like Chris Olave. But I'm also concerned about, between the two of them, I got to go with my gut. So I'm going to go Odunze, Elijah. I'll go Odunze. That would be my pick. Let's go Philly at Tampa. Like I said, another rematch for Tampa of the playoffs last year. This one was in favor of Tampa in the playoffs. So let's see what happens in this matchup here. Joseph sent me a question. Joseph, make sure you subscribe while you're in. I think you're new to us, so make sure you subscribe while you're waiting on the answer here. I will be answering your question here in just a moment. But I want to get to Philadelphia and then go to Tampa. We always do the road team first. So let's go Philadelphia, the Eagles in this last game. I like Jalen Hurts in the game. I like Quando Barkley. I like Dallas Goedert. Dude's a beast. And A.J. Brown, hamstring, not great. Devontae Smith, concussion, not great. So Jahan Dotson, if neither one, God willing, they'll be able to go. But if they can't, then Jahan Dotson gets some pub here. He had just 2 catches. So I'm going to put him as a flex wideout, maybe a wide receiver 4 if you're going to play 4. But I like Goddard, Jalen Hurts, and Saquon Barkley. And anybody who wanted to give up on Saquon after last week was just being stupid. And, I mean, he had a phenomenal first game ever in Philly. Then he dropped a pass on Monday Night Football, and then he bounced back in this next game. But he didn't even have a bad game on Monday Night Football. He just dropped a pass. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. People that were freaking out about him, stupid. I mean, I think he's an end zone magnet. Baker Mayfield, he didn't have a great game. I mean, the team only scored 7 in the loss at home to Bo Nix and Denver, who scored almost 30 points in the game. So, I mean, but I do like Baker still. Rashad White, if he's able to go, he's worth putting out there as a running back 2. I'm going to say Bucky is a running back 3. Mike Evans and Godwin are worth the play. I shouldn't have to tell you that, but I will. So there's a lot of fantasy value in this matchup. I'm going to get to your questions here before we get to Washington at Arizona. Washington's got firepower, and so does Arizona. I think this is going to be a good game. People might not have thought that going into the season, but I think it'll be good. Make sure you all subscribe here, Joseph, as well as Cy. So appreciate you all. I'm going to answer your questions now. I'm going to answer Joseph's first because it came in first. So happy to have y'all here, and thank you for your questions. And make sure to subscribe if you haven't yet. So appreciate y'all. Joseph, Connor and Hunter Henry for McBride. James Conner, I guess you're saying. And Demetrios, make sure that you subscribe if you haven't yet as well. Because I know you just popped in here, man. So good to have you. Appreciate you. And I'll get to your question here as well in a second. So let's look at this. Joseph, Connor, and Hunter Henry for McBride. I mean, I like Trey McBride. I thought I still think he has the opportunity to be one of the best tight ends fantasy-wise in the NFL, which reality-wise I would think would help the team out. Thank you, Cy, for the subscription. Appreciate you. So, I mean, James Conner, he hasn't been great. McBride's getting opportunities. So, Connor and Hunter Henry for McBride. Joseph, tell me who your other running backs are. That's going to help me make my decision. Tell me your other running backs, and I can help you out on that. Cy said, hi guys, should I drop Jalen Tolbert for D-Hop in PPR? Well, I don't trust Tennessee right now. So that's tough. That's really tough. Jalen Tolbert, we spoke about a little bit earlier here, so you can go back and check that out. But Jalen Tolbert, that's the other thing too. I mean, he's on the Cowboys, so I'm not feeling great about that either. I mean, D-Hop, as far as how he's done so far, I mean, Tennessee's what, 0-3? Tennessee has lost by a touchdown, and 16 points. And 2 of those games were at home. So, I mean, D-Hop, he's getting involved a lot. I mean, most recent game, 7 targets from Will Levis, caught 6, 73 yards. All of those led the team, and he had a touchdown. So, Cy, I would say yeah. I would say pick up D Hop for Tolbert. I mean, Tolbert might have a breakout game or two, but I don't think it'll be consistent because I mean, obviously CeeDee Lamb's there. Plus, he's going to work in more snaps probably. Yeah, I like D Hop. Cy. What's my okay? So Joseph said 12-team PPR. You have Jonathan Thomas, Kenneth Walker III, Zach Charbonnet. Okay, so you got the handcuff and Raheem Mostert. Wide receivers AJ Brown, T Higgins, Debo, and Waddle while you work. You're welcome, Cy. Appreciate the subscription. So I don't love your running back situation, Joseph. But here's my question, Joseph. And you have Worthy. Okay. Here's my question, Joseph. Do you have another tight end or is it just Hunter Henry? And then Smitty said, so is Mason and Patterson a good start if the two running backs are out? Sorry, I don't know if you answered this already. Yeah, I would say, Smitty, to go back to your... Yeah. Yeah, I would say Mason and Patterson. From what you were giving me, I think I'm okay with that. Well, you said start two. You said Mason, Steele, Madison, Ramondre. I like Mason and Steele. But I would say Mason and Patterson and then Steele, Smitty. So I would say Mason, Patterson, and then Steele. Joseph, you already have Pat the Muth. So you got Muth. I don't know if I would give up James Conner, man. I don't know if I would give up James Conner. I like McBride. I like McBride for Henry straight up, but I don't know if I would give up James Conner. Smitty, you're welcome. Happy to help. Thanks for the questions. And yeah, so Joseph, I don't know if I would get rid of James Conner. I know he hasn't been great, but I don't love that situation for you, and Muth isn't bad. So I understand you want to get rid of Hunter Henry, but I don't think you have to give up James Conner and Hunter Henry. So I'd maybe shop it for somebody else or try to move someone else in that. You know, you can send me other ideas that you have, and I'm happy to help. I just don't feel good about you getting rid of James Conner, especially when he's healthy. I mean, the dude told his coach he was going to beat cancer and be back on the field when he was at Pitt in college. He told Pat Narduzzi, I'm going to go beat cancer, coach, and I'll be back. And he beat cancer, and he beat like knee injuries and all types of stuff and came back on the field. He was awesome. So Jaden Daniels, dude, I like him. I have him in one of my leagues as my backup. He's playing Arizona this week. I like Jaden Daniels. I don't think he's a bad one to put out there for you. So I'm going to say a mid-range QB1. Brian Robinson Jr., I would say running back 2. Terry McLaurin I'd put out there. Zach feels so good at Ertz. I'd put him out there as well. And, I mean, looking at the Commanders, they're 2-1, by the way. They lost by 17 to the Bucs on the road in Jaden Daniels' first game ever in the NFL. Understandable. They beat the Giants in a close game, and then they beat the Bengals in a close game. They were able to withstand the Bengals' charge toward the end. So, I mean, McLaurin has continued to prove me right that he can catch the ball no matter what quarterback is throwing to him. I think he's had, 4 or 5 quarterbacks throw to him since he's been in the NFL. And he's caught Pat. He's been a 1,000-yard guy or close to being a 1,000-yard guy with any of them. He had 6 targets, 4 catches, and 100 yards. Closest person to him, Luke McCaffrey, who had 44 yards. And McLaurin had a tutty. So Austin Eckler's caught both that were thrown out of the backfield to him. Ran the ball 3 times for 35 yards because he's nuts. 11.7 yards a carry and a touchdown. Brian Robinson, 16 carries to lead the team against Cincinnati for Washington. 33 yards. Not great. 2.1 yards a carry, but had a touchdown. Jaden Daniels, 12 carries, 39 yards. He had a touchdown. So, Washington's going to do a by committee thing here. But because you have Jaden Daniels, you have the option to do a lot of things. Ertz caught all 5 targets thrown his way. Dude is timeless. God bless him. 38 yards. So, yeah, I mean, in this game, I like Jaden Daniels as a mid-range quarterback 1. Eckler has a concussion, so you just have to watch that. Jeremy McNichols might have to step in, God willing, Austin, and everyone who is injured or going through anything, including all of you watching and listening. I pray in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, that we all heal completely and for good, and no matter what, through God, and handle well whatever comes our way in and out of our control. In Jesus' name, in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen, because it's so much bigger than football. If Eckler is able to go, put him out there. I like Brian Robinson to go out. I like Jaden Daniels as a mid-range 1. I like McLaurin to put out there. I like Zach Ertz to put out there. I like Kyler Murray, I'm going to put as a mid-range 1 this week as well. This might be a shootout. This might be a 30-30. It might be 20-something, like maybe 28-23, or it could get into the 30s. The Cardinals are 1-2, and they just lost 20-13 to the Lions at home. But the Lions, keep in mind, Lions got a good defense. So, I mean, Murray, 21-34, 207 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 5 carries, 45 yards, 9 yards a carry to lead the team. Marvin Harrison had a touchdown, 11 targets, led the team, 5 catches, a touchdown, 64 yards. Michael Wilson, who I told y'all not to forget about, rookie from last year, 9 targets, only 2 behind Marvin Harrison, caught 8 to lead the team of the 9 thrown his way, equaled Marvin Harrison with 64 yards. Trey McBride, 6 targets, 3 catches, 25 yards. Dortch, 6 targets, 3 catches, 35 yards. Connor caught the only one thrown his way out of the backfield. I did see a question from Wildcat Sports, so I'll get to you in a second. Thank you for your question. Kyler Murray, I'm going to put him as a mid-range quarterback 1. Marvin Harrison Jr. worth the play. Michael Wilson worth the flex. Trey McBride is on the injury report, too. He's got a concussion, so he's questionable. Him and James Conner questionable with, or not James Conner. He's questionable with a concussion, and Austin Eckler. So just watch that. But I like Marvin Harrison and Michael Wilson in this game. Kyler Murray, I like him, but not as a top guy. I got him as a mid-range 1 for this. I think this is going to be possibly one of the best games of the week, honestly. So let's get to your questions before I jump into the next game, which is going to be New England at San Francisco with Bill Belichick there. And remember when Jimmy Garoppolo got to go against Tom Brady? You look at a game like that, you look at those opportunities. We don't have that anymore, but, hopefully Jimmy G will get an opportunity somewhere. And God bless to him and his loved ones. Wildcat Sports. Greg said this to me. And Greg, make sure you subscribe. So appreciate you. Make sure to subscribe. I'm going to answer your question here. So let's see what you got. Do you think there's any hope for Curtis Samuel or Adonai Mitchell? I'm thinking to cut them both because I have no backup quarterback for Jaden. I would. I mean, tell me who the quarterbacks are. And who your other wide receivers are. Thank you, Wildcat Sports. Greg said he subscribed, so thank you, Greg. Appreciate you. Would you pick up Justin Fields or Andy Dalton? Man, good question. It's a good question. Would I pick up Justin Fields or Andy Dalton? I mean, right now I like Andy Dalton, but Justin... I mean, by the numbers... Andy Dalton or Justin Fields? That is such a good question. I mean, Justin Fields currently in 3 games. 73.3% completion percentage, 518 passing yards, only 2 passing touchdowns and an interception, and he's got a touchdown on the ground. Andy Dalton was only asked to come in this past week. But again, what did I tell you? Justin Fields, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, 518 yards passing. Okay. Carolina with Andy Dalton in 1 game. Andy Dalton's completion percentage, 68.4, 319 yards. Well, 2 games played, pardon me. So 2 games, but first game as a starter this past week. 68.4 with Carolina in this scenario with Bryce Young. First game as a starter this season was week 3. 319 yards, 68.4% completion percentage, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions already. So he outplayed the statistics of Justin Fields in 1 game. Because the other game he played in, he was 0 for 1, no yards. So all of those statistics I just read you, outside of an incomplete pass, and his percentage goes down, but because of that incomplete pass, but he has a 70.3% completion percentage in the game that he actually was the guy in. I mean, he had 1 incompletion against New Orleans, which I should have prefaced with that, but he's 26 of 37, 319 yards, 70.3% completion percentage, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions in the 1 game that he played in on the road at the Raiders. So he says, Jaden has a week 14 bye. I want to break ties based on which quarterback is most likely to still be starting between Fields and Dalton or Bo Nix. If it's of all of those guys, I would go Bo Nix. Of those 3. That's who I would go with. Dylan Fink. Dylan, appreciate you, man. Make sure you subscribe. Greg, thank you for the subscription. And yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome, Greg. My pleasure, man. And it says you talk sports, so I'm guessing you got something that you do. I'll have to check it out. Thanks, Greg. Appreciate you. Dylan said 0-3 made a must-win now trade. Players have been struggling or hurt. Full PPR redraft. You sent Anthony Richardson, Garrett Wilson, and ETN away. You got Lamar, Ayuk, and David Montgomery. So, yeah, dude, I think you're good. I like it. I think the trade was good. You said you love Garrett Wilson. Are you a Jets fan? Or just love Garrett? But no, I think that trade's good, man. I'm not worried about that, Dylan. Ayuk, starter, guys are hurt. David Montgomery, great 1-2 punch with Jahmyr Gibbs. Lamar Jackson, dude's a beast. He's like 2 or 3 players on the field when it comes to fantasy. So, I mean, at least 2 players, running back and quarterback. So, I like that. I don't hate that at all. Let's go to the next one. Let's go to New England at San Francisco. Road team first, the New England Patriots. So the Patriots here just lost on Thursday Night Football to the Jets, 24-3. Again, Jets got a good defense there. Good for fans, too, on Thursday Night Football to see that. Antonio Gibson, 5 carries, 29 yards in the loss, 5.8 yards a carry. Ramondre, 6 carries, 23 yards, 3.8 yards a carry. Drake May got in, 4 of 8, 22 yards passing, no touchdowns, no picks. Ran the ball twice for 12 yards, 6 yards a carry. Demario Douglas, 9 targets, most on the team. 7 catches, by far most on the team. 69 yards, by far most on the team. Jalen Polk, not much. Austin Hooper, not much. Hunter Henry, not much. Antonio Gibson caught all 3 out of the backfield, so that's good for PPR for you. Coming from the Washington Commanders. I mean, how do I feel about this game against San Fran, though? And Demetrios, I did. Oh, yeah. So Demetrios, let me see back here. Did you have a question for me? Oh, you did have a question for me. Vikings or Dolphins defense? I'm sorry, sir. So I'm going to get to that. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't. Sebastian, if you haven't subscribed, make sure you do as well. Demetrios, I'm going to get to your question. So, and you subscribed a while ago. I thought you did. I thought you were one of my returners. So thanks, man. I appreciate you. Vikings or Dolphins defense for this week? Let me get to that quick because you had asked a while ago. So Vikings or Dolphins? Oh, Dolphins defense is playing Tennessee and they're playing at home. Dolphins defense. So Demetrios, I'm going to say Dolphins defense. This week. So I'd say that. And then you're welcome. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to skim over that. Sebastian, should I take Drake London, Jonathan Brooks, and Tank Dell for David Montgomery and Marvin Harrison? No. 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 So, no. No. Because David Montgomery, beast, Marvin Harrison Jr., he could have an offensive rookie of the year type of season. So, if he keeps doing what he's doing. So, yeah. So, for New England against San Francisco, Ramondre Stevenson, I'll put him as a running back 2 in a deep league. Hopefully you could put him as a running back 3. Demario Douglas, I'll put him as a wide receiver 3. I don't like anybody else. I mean, Antonio Gibson maybe can help you out in a deep league as a running back 4. On the other side of this, for the San Francisco 49ers, they've been bleeding, man. They got to get a victory. They're going to be at home. You got to watch Purdy and make sure he's okay with his back issue. If he's able to go, put him out there against New England. But I'm going to say that I don't even know if I'd put him out there in this game. New England doesn't have a bad defense. I'd probably put Purdy as a lower-end quarterback 1 this week. I like Jordan Mason. I like Brandon Ayuk and Juwan Jennings to be out there for fantasy for you. I'm not as sold on Purdy for this week with him not being 100%. Well, hopefully he'll be 100%, but as of right now, I'm a little concerned about that. But I do like Ayuk. I do like Jordan Mason. And I do like Juwan Jennings. I don't like how San Francisco has been playing. Let's get to Kansas City at the Los Angeles Chargers. So we'll go to Kansas City first. I did see some thoughts pop up, so I'm going to get to those in just a moment here, so bear with me. As far as this goes for Kansas City, Patty Mahomes, yes. Carson Steele, that's an interesting one here because, you know, Kansas City's proven that they don't, I mean, it helps when they have Pacheco, obviously. So, Smitty said Dolphins are losing that game. Yeah, but they're playing Tennessee, man. I don't know if they're going to lose that game necessarily, too. Tennessee hasn't been great. But I like the Dolphins' defense because they may need a defensive touchdown. Sebastian said, I would be getting... Oh, so you would be getting David Montgomery? So, yeah, that was something to preface with, man. So, because it said, you wrote it as, should I trade Drake London, Jonathan Brooks, and Tank Dell for? So, I thought you were giving... So, you're going to be getting Marvin Harrison and David Montgomery. I thought you were saying, okay, yeah, then make the trade. Then make the trade, Sebastian. If you're getting Montgomery and Marvin Harrison Jr., then make the trade. Sorry, I misunderstood the question. Demetrio said, much appreciated. Enjoy the rest of your day. You too, man. Appreciate you. Very much so. Let's get into Carson Steele here. So Carson Steele, 17 carries, 72 yards, 4.2 yard carry. He wears number 42. He is a rookie. And long hair don't care. So first game, 2 carries, 3 yards. Second game, 7 carries, 24 yards. Third game, 17 carries, pretty much doubling his first 2 games in 72 yards. So Kansas City's playing Los Angeles. I'm going to say I like Patty Mahomes. I like Carson Steele as a flex. In a really deep, like 16-team league, you might put him as a 2. Beyond that, obviously Travis Kelce. I like him in there. Rashee Rice, 12 catches, led the team. 14 targets, led the team. 110 yards, way led the team. Second closest to him was 80 yards behind, which was Kelce. 5 targets, 4 catches, 30 yards. Juju got a touchdown. Rashee got a touchdown. So, yeah, I like Kelce. I like Rashee Rice. Xavier Worthy, 4 targets, 2 catches, 17 yards. You could flex him out. I don't love him in this game, but in a deep league, you can flex him out. Justin Herbert is questionable with an ankle injury. Watch that. If he's unable to go, that's going to change some things here for me. I like Ladd McConkey as a flex if he's able to go. I don't really like anybody else in the receiving core, with or without Herbert. I say Dobbins is a must, and if Herbert doesn't play, Gus Edwards is a potential flex for you, is what I would put out there in my opinion. So, and then as far as the Chargers go, I would say J.K. Dobbins is the guy that I would lean on. I mean, Gus wasn't great, but maybe Gus has a little more with some, if Herbert isn't able to go. But I would say J.K. Dobbins and Ladd McConkey. Ladd's a rookie. I still like that lad. Pun fully intended. So, yeah, I mean, I would say Ladd maybe as a flex guy. Let's go to the Browns at the Raiders, a team that's looked really bad in the Browns and a team that's been an enigma in the Raiders. So let's go to the Browns first, the road team. The Browns got to figure this thing out, man. Because this Deshaun, I mean, again, especially amidst all of the issues going on, Deshaun is a talented guy. But if he was like all around on and off the field great, Houston wouldn't have let him go. So 21 of 37, 196 yards in the loss at home to the Giants, 2 touchdowns, no picks. For Deshaun, 4 carries, 26 yards. Jerome Ford, 10 carries, 37 yards. Deontay Foreman, 2 carries, 5 yards. Cooper, 12 targets, 7 catches, 86 yards. All those led the team. Jerome Ford out of the backfield, targeted 4 times, caught 3, 33 yards. Judy, 7 targets, 4 catches, 27 yards. So for Cleveland in this game at the Raiders. So if Jerome is able to go, he has a knee injury. If he's able to go, I would put him in there. I got him as a running back 2. Judy, I got as a wide receiver 3. Cooper is undisclosed, but just watch him on the injury report. Njoku, ankle injury, so just watch that. I mean, I like Jerome Ford. If he doesn't go, I like Deontay Foreman as a wide receiver, running back 3. Judy as a wide receiver 3. On the other side of it, for the Raiders, I would say, and a shout out to the man who created that, because I give credit where credit is due. I believe in that. Chris Berman, so shout out to the Boom. Nobody liked the Boom. And so for the Raiders, recently here in their loss to the Panthers 36-22 at home, Aiden O'Connell got in, had a touchdown, 9-12. Minshew, 18-28, touchdown interception. Like I told you, don't count out my guy, Aiden O'Connell. Zamir White didn't do anything really. Alexander Madison, 3 carries, 7 yards, 2.3 yards a carry, but had a touchdown. Trey Tucker, I got a bunch of his rookie cards. He's been I've been a magnet to him in box breaks. So 9 targets, 7 catches. Jacoby Myers, 9 targets, 7 catches. Both of them had touchdowns. Brock, 3 catches, 4 targets, 41 yards. Devontae, 9 targets, only 4 catches for 40 yards. So in this game against the Browns, I would say Devontae, Jacoby, Trey flex, Jacoby, I would say wide receiver 2 this week, low end 2, high end 3. Devontae, I would have as a 2. Brock Bowers, I would have him as a tight end 1 this week because they're playing Cleveland. So I'm going to say tight end 1. Let's go to Sunday Night Football because we got a double Monday Nighter again. So let's go to Sunday Night Football. Bills at the Ravens. This could be a playoff matchup. The Ravens have been underwhelming. The Bills have been looking good. Keep in mind that they played a high school team this past week. And I'm a Jaguars fan saying that because I'm an impartial broadcaster. So Josh Allen, yes. James Cook, yes. Keon Coleman, I'm going to say wide receiver 2 on the lower end. Shakir, flex. Kincaid, starter. Lamar Jackson, yes. Derrick Henry, yes. Zay Flowers, yes. Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely. They got to use them both. I don't understand how this isn't working out. So, if Mark Andrews is the starter, I'm going to call him a mid-range tight end 1 in that matchup. And then I'm going to head to Monday Night Football doubleheader, Tennessee at the Miami Dolphins. If Miami had Tua, I'd be feeling a heck of a lot better about this game, but they don't. So that's something I'm not fond of. So let's go here. Let's see if we got any more questions. Oh, we got some more questions from y'all. Let's see. Let's talk defense. Pickups, my choices are Dallas versus the Giants, Tennessee versus Miami, or Minnesota versus Green Bay. I would say Tennessee versus Miami. Dallas versus the Giants isn't bad either. So I would say Tennessee, then Dallas for Utah Sports. That's what I would say. And let's look at Miami here. They've lost 2 in a row. They only scored 3 points in their loss on the road at Seattle. So Skyler, 13 of 19. Tim Boyle, 7 of 13. No touchdowns, no interceptions for either. Stack the box. Devon Achane, 11 carries, 30 yards. Jalen Wright, 2 carries, 17 yards. Jeff Wilson Jr., 3 carries, 14 yards. None of that's good. Tyreek, 3 catches, 5 targets, 40 yards. Achane, 3 catches out of the backfield on 5 targets. Waddle, 5 targets, 4 catches. The ball got spread out a lot, but Miami's in a danger zone, man. I don't like it. So the Monday Nighter, I would say play Tennessee's defense to my question that came in. And Korish, if I'm saying that right, I hope I am. Make sure to subscribe while you're here. Thoughts on Jamar Chase and McLaurin for Devontae and DK? What do you get and what do you lose? So Korish, tell me what side of the trade you're on for that. That'll help me answer that question. So, yeah, I like Tennessee's defense in this game. I said that I liked Miami's defense. Well, I don't know if I like Miami's defense now. Because, I only like Miami's defense. I'm not sold on Tennessee, is why I said I'm okay with Miami's defense. But between the two of them, I think Tennessee their offense is going to be on the field more. So, we'll see. In this game, if you were ever going to play Will Levis, maybe you play him in this game. Tony Pollard, I'm going to call him a running back 2. Tajay, I'm going to call him a 3. Ridley and D-Hop, I like D-Hop in the game. Ridley, I'm going to say is a 3. D-Hop is a 2. Chigo Okonkwo, I'm going to put him as a tight end while Josh Weil outproduced him. So I'm going to say Okonkwo as a mid-range tight end 1. On Miami's side of it, it's ugly and it's gross and I don't like it. Devon Achane, running back 2. Tyreek Hill, it's hard to keep him off the field. Let's call him a wide receiver 2. Let's call Waddle a 3. But, I mean, Tyler Huntley might be the quarterback here. He was brought in, so he could be the guy with Thompson having a rib injury. So just pay attention to that, I would say. I mean, Miami's defense is going to have to make plays. That's why I'm not opposed to their defense, but Tennessee's going to be on the field more. So that could be an ugly Monday night game. Maybe Miami helps out Jacksonville by being the uglier-looking Florida-based team on Monday Night Football. Here's a good Monday Night Football game. Seattle at Detroit. So let's go to Seattle first. Seattle at Detroit. I'm going to have Geno as a QB 2. Charbonnet, I'm going to have him as a running back 2 if Kenneth Walker III is not able to go with an oblique injury. I like DK, Jackson Smith, and Jigba. I like him. He caught everything that was thrown his way. Now, Tyler Lockett had 8 targets, so they're still involving him. So I'm going to say Lockett as a flex. I'm going to say Jackson Smith and Jigba as a wide receiver 3. I'm going to call Lockett a 4. I'm going to call DK a must start. I'm going to call Charbonnet a 2. On the other side of it, for Detroit Rock City, I'm going to call, they're the home team, so I'm going to say Jared Goff. I like him in this game as a low-end quarterback 1, high-end 2. I like Montgomery. I like Gibbs. I like Amon-Ra. Sam Laporta is questionable with his ankle injury, so I like Jamison Williams a little bit more. I think there's a lot of fantasy value on both sides, but I'll give the edge to Detroit in this game. And as always, I appreciate you for tuning in to Fantasy Football Advice in the Fantasy Football Hour, Power Hour, proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub, 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. Go and visit them 7 days a week, including on game day. And for takeout delivery, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat. And God bless you all. We're going to continue the conversation here because I got some questions that came in. So I'm going to hit these before our final fast break, but we have gone through all of our games. Korish said, thoughts on Jamar? So you're sending Chase and McLaurin? Okay. So you're going to lose Chase and McLaurin, and you're going to get Devontae and DK? I don't like that. I mean, there's value on both sides, but I'd keep what you have. I'd keep Chase and McLaurin. And make sure you subscribe while you're here. And I appreciate the question, Korish. Definitely appreciate the question. We're going to take our final step aside and wrap things up after this. If you have a question, now's the time to send it here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Fantasy Football Advice, Week 4 of the 2024-25 season. Proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315 487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks brought to you here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora as our sports card shop of choice and trading card shop of choice as well. You can find GG Cards and Breaks by going to 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York, Tuesday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on Sundays from 10 to 5. Appreciate everything that they do at GG Cards and Breaks. It starts with Josh and Anthony. They work extremely diligently day in and day out with the rest of their staff, with Joel and Alex and the entire crew, to bring you singles, packs, boxes, graded cards, and whether it's Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Disney Lorcana, Pokemon, hockey, baseball, soccer, football, basketball, as well as AEW, UFC, All Sport. They have so many different things. Garbage Pail Kids, pardon me. They have so many amazing things. They always have new stuff coming in. They have everything you need. If you have to protect your cards, which we all do, they have boxes to put your cards in of different shapes and sizes. They have big boxes. They got small boxes that you can use to display and bring out to shows and to trade night. When GG Cards and Breaks does trade night every single week, you can bring your cards out. They have one-touch cases. They all different size top loaders, sleeves to protect your cards. They have binders. They have the different sheets to put in your binders to put your cards in. So literally, if you could walk in to GG Cards and Breaks having never collected cards before, and you'll have everything that you need from day one. You can be somebody that's collected forever, and you're going to walk into GG's, and in my opinion, you're going to walk out having gone to a place that's unlike any other. They have boxes of every MLB, every NBA, and every NFL team. Extremely tedious work, diligent work, and they do a terrific job in making sure that every fan is covered in Central and Upstate New York, no matter who you like in the NFL, the NBA, or Major League Baseball. They have boxes of new arrivals. They have so many different things, and every week it changes. They're unique, they're special, they care, they're excited about the trading card community, they get cards themselves, they love opening packs and boxes, they're big kids in this thing, which I think makes them the best, and they're just caring, loving people. So shout out to Anthony, shout out to Josh, shout out to the team, shout out to everybody that's gone and trusted our voice here on Wake Up Call. We look forward to you making them your sports card and trading card shop of choice, Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 6 and Sundays from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York, right off of Teal Ave. With that being said, I want to thank Jeff Lonzak and Peter Hatton of the Lemoyne Dolphins men's tennis team for our special exclusive to Wake Up Call in Dolphin Dive and our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership. I want to thank you all for being here in the Fantasy Football Power Hour every Wednesday at 10 a.m. And we say 10 to 11, but it's almost 1 o'clock for the third week in a row. Thank you for all your questions, your support, and for subscribing to us and coming to us for fantasy football advice all around the country and the world. Much appreciation to the Wildcat Sports Pub for being our exclusive partner in bringing you our fantasy football advice worldwide. 3680 Milton Avenue for the Wildcat in Camillus, New York, and the Home Depot Plaza. And for takeout and delivery, you can call 315-487-2222. Big time thanks for everybody watching and listening to Wake Up Call Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, at least on YouTube.com and Facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT, on WakeUpCallDT.podbean.com as well. So we appreciate y'all for being there. Once the shows go live, they hop into the archive like this one will, and you'll find it on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. And we appreciate you all for doing that. Make sure you subscribe while you are there so you don't miss a you don't miss a playback of any of the shows again. And these broadcasts will update themselves. So wherever you go to get your podcasts, all of this will update. Simply search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT, and you will find all of these shows and constantly updating themselves. So make sure you check them out today, and thank you for your support, as always, on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. I can't thank you enough for your support. So much appreciation for that, and I appreciate you all so very much. So thank you. I wanted to see how many times I could say the word appreciate. Visit our incredible partners in Central and Upstate New York, Carvel DeWitt. Today is Wednesday, so I have my own Sunday exclusively at Carvel DeWitt location, 4322 East Genesee Street in DeWitt, New York. It is what happy tastes like, and you can get the DT Dolphin, which is in connection to the Lemoyne College Dolphins. Go and get it today down the road from Lemoyne College. How many colleges and universities can say they have their own Sunday available 7 days a week? And from the best of the best when it comes to ice cream, that being Carvel. Head out to 4322 East Genesee Street in DeWitt today to try the DT Dolphin. And it is mint chocolate chip ice cream, green for the Dolphins, hot fudge, whipped cream, and a cherry, topped off with green and gold sprinkles, the colors of the Lemoyne College Dolphins, and a chocolate dolphin jumping out of your whipped cream. You can get it any day of the week, and you can get buy one, get one today and every Wednesday at Carvel DeWitt. So go and get it on Wednesdays, buy one, get one, and every day of the week. Wildcat Sports Pub, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Chick-fil-A Cicero, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, Avicoli's, Brian's Landing, GG Cards and Breaks, as well as Ma and Pa's, the snack capital of the world. If you want to go somewhere to hit every taste bud, they have at least 50 flavors of popcorn and kettle corn at all times at 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. On top of that, chocolate dipped pretzels, chocolate dipped Oreos. They have their cotton candy. They have a whole line of freeze-dried candy that are absolutely incredible. So you can go out and try all of those today. I think I've tried every single one of them, and they're absolutely incredibly good. Their freeze-dried candy has so much flavor, and it stays good in the house for months, just so you know. So once you open up that bag, you can have it for a long time if you don't want to eat it all in one sitting, which it's very hard not to do. So make sure you go to Ma and Pa's for all of that, including their homemade lemonade and flavors that they put in there. Ma and Pa's will hit every taste bud. And if you're out of town from Central New York, go to maandpaspopcorn.com and order from them today. Great Lakes Honda City, the only place I get my cars. Pizza Man, Servomation, reinvigorating and reimagining when it comes to vending, from the choices that you have, quality of the product, as well as their technology and accessibility. Go to servomation.com for more information to find out about having their vending at your high school, your elementary school, your college, your university, your place of business, and, your pit stops. So make sure you check out servomation.com. Thank you to everybody that's trusted them as your vending resource. To me, there is no other choice. Mother's Cupboard, the only place to get my breakfast sandwich, which is my very own bacon, egg, and cheese inside of 2 pieces of French toast. Cut it up and eat it cut it up and have it with syrup, pick it up and eat it like a sandwich, and dunk it in the syrup at Mother's Cupboard 7 days a week. The Cuse Mac Mother, go and get it today. Cuse Mac Mother, you'll see my picture when you go in there. It is hard to miss, and it's right there at 3709 James Street in Syracuse, New York. Open 7 days a week, 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora and Dan Tortora Broadcast Media are the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of the Lemoyne College Dolphins. Find your Dolphins every Wednesday, like today, during Dolphin Time, Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, right here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. And you can also find them by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and of course, you can find the Lemoyne playlist there as well. You can find the Dolphins by going to wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to LeMoyneDolphins.com. And as always, fins up. The Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Find your Bobcats every single month on Wake Up Call in what we call the Bobcat Buzz. Men's and women's soccer, men's and women's basketball, baseball, and esports are all home here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora and Dan Tortora Broadcast Media as the exclusive partner of Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse. They have two campuses, one right up the road from downtown Syracuse in Syracuse, New York on James Street, and in Liverpool right off of Route 57 across the street from Avicoli's. So you know you'll always be eating good when you're on campus at Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse. You can find all their content by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and of course you'll find the BSC Syracuse playlist. You'll also find the Bobcats on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com and make sure to support men's and women's soccer fully in their seasons. And go Bobcats. The Binghamton University Bearcats are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora and Dan Tortora Broadcast Media. Find your Bearcats every single month right here and every week on Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Eastern Time in what we call Bearcat Time, and that features throughout the year Moments with Marshall with Athletics Director of the Binghamton University Bearcats, Gene Marshall, and of course the Bearcat Break Room with student athletes, coaches, and administration. Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Our men's and women's swimming and diving special with their head coach, Jerry Comiskey, is up there for you right now, as well as our recent special with the men's soccer team as they were traveling on the road on game day to what ended up being a victory. And you got to hear from Carlo Cavalar as well as Luke Yates and head coach Paul Marco. You can find all of our content with Binghamton University by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and of course, you can find our Binghamton playlist. You can also find the Bearcats by going to wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to bubearcats.com and go Bearcats. With that being said, I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. Big thanks to Jeff Lonzak and Peter Hatton from Lemoyne Men's Tennis, and of course Peter also from Lemoyne Men's Golf. And a big time shout out to Faith in God coming from the both of these gentlemen. And of course, many thanks to the Wildcat Sports Pub for our Fantasy Football Power Hour, which always ends up being ours. Have a great day. Find us on Facebook at WakeUpCallDT, X at CallDT, Instagram at WakeUpCall_DT. And as always, God bless, no stress, do your best. We'll talk soon, and stay safe.